Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ain't Nobody Squeaky Clean. And as always, I appreciate you for joining the podcast. You could have chosen to be anywhere else, but you came here. And I never take that for granted. As always, I welcome your suggestions for future podcast episodes, topics you want me to discuss, topics you want me to dive into, topics you want me to research. Because I want this to be a learning opportunity for all of us, including me. A lot of the topics I didn't know much about until I started researching them. And then I said, you know what? This is something that people really need to know. So I'm going to put it out there. But today, this one didn't take much research at all because I am living it as I speak. Today, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people are living through right now, but almost nobody wants to admit publicly. And that is what it feels like to lose your job and suddenly have to depend on your spouse to carry everything financially, emotionally, mentally, all of it. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's a level of humiliation that comes with that experience that people don't talk about enough, especially for people who have spent their entire lives being the breadwinners or the provider. People who are used to leading, used to solving problems, used to taking care of everybody else. Then suddenly, one layoff, one contract ending, one restructuring, one bad economy, and your whole identity gets flipped upside down. And you guys know this because I've talked about that extensively in other episodes. Now, before we go any further, let me say this clearly. This episode is not about feeling sorry for yourself. It's about telling the truth. Because too many people are suffering in silence right now, trying to act like they're okay when they're really drowning internally. And I think we need more honest conversations about what unemployment actually does to people psychologically. And I've said this a lot. Because losing your job doesn't just affect your income, it affects your confidence, your routine, sense of purpose, pride, relationships, your sleep, your mental health. So, in other words, it impacts everything. And when you have a spouse who suddenly has to step up and handle most or all of the responsibility, that changes the dynamic inside the household, whether people admit it or not. I don't care how strong your marriage is. Pressure changes people. Now, maybe some of you listening are going through this right now. Maybe you wake up every morning pretending to be productive. Let me paint a picture for you. You wake up, you start applying to jobs, you update your resume, you network, you check LinkedIn, you send follow-up emails, and then nothing. No response, no callback, no explanation, just silence. And that silence starts messing with your head after a while. Because at first, you think, okay, I just need a little time. Then a few months pass, then more months pass. And suddenly you're sitting there wondering, what in the heck is wrong with me? And that's the dangerous part. Because unemployment has a way of attacking your identity, especially for us high performers. Those of us that were leaders and people who built their entire self-worth around being dependable. Now your spouse is paying the rent or mortgage. Your spouse is covering groceries. Your spouse is paying for dinners. Your spouse is carrying the insurance. And you're standing there feeling guilty every single time money gets spent. You feel very small. People don't talk about that feeling enough. That feeling when you want to buy something simple and your brain immediately says, man, you probably shouldn't. Not because you're irresponsible. You might be, but this is not what this is about. But because you feel like you haven't earned the right anymore. That's a real feeling. And let's be honest, sometimes the humiliation isn't even coming from your spouse. It's coming internally from yourself. Sometimes your spouse is supportive, loving, understanding, and patient. And you still feel ashamed. Because in your mind, you're supposed to be doing more. You're supposed to be fixing this faster. You're supposed to have answers. And every day that you don't, you start feeling smaller and smaller. And then there's a social side of it. That's another thing that people don't talk about. You stop wanting to go places. You stop wanting to answer questions. Because people always ask, so what are you doing now? Did you find something yet? Man, how long has it been? You got to figure something out. You can't just sit there, because you're not just sitting there, but in their head, you got to figure something out. Like there's a job fairy down the street, sitting in a tree, waiting for you to go down there and shake a leaf off. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have a job. You know, everybody has answers that are not tangible, or they have answers that don't exist. Man, if I was in your shoes, I would just go down to such and such and get. I've already been there. They turned me down. What? Well, did you update your resume? Did you really tell them how much you need this job? We've done all those things. But you still hear all of the craziness from everyone. So you get to the place where you don't even know how to answer anymore. So you start avoiding gatherings, avoiding conversations, avoiding former coworkers, because deep down you feel embarrassed. Meanwhile, you see people online posting promotions, vacations, success stories, business wins, and you're just trying to survive emotionally because you can't survive financially anymore. So let's talk about the spouse for a minute. Because if you're the one that's carrying the household right now, you're under pressure too. You may love your husband or wife deeply. You may fully understand the situation isn't their fault. But pressure is still pressure, and bills still exist. Responsibilities still exist. Fear still exists. And sometimes both people in the relationship are silently struggling at the exact same time. One person feels ashamed, the other person feels overwhelmed, and both are trying to protect each other emotionally. That's why communication matters so much during seasons like this, because resentment grows in silence. Stress grows in silence. Fear grows in silence. And if couples aren't careful, unemployment can slowly create emotional distance between two people who actually love each other deeply. And let me say this too. Society doesn't make this any easier, especially for men. Let's just tell the truth. A lot of men are raised to believe their value is tied directly to providing. Let me say that again because I kind of botched it. A lot of men are raised to believe their value is tied directly to providing. So when they lose that ability temporarily or for a long period of time, you don't just feel unemployed. You feel useless. And that mindset becomes dangerous because once a person starts believing they have no value, depression starts creeping in, or worse. Anger and isolation starts creeping in. And sometimes people begin pulling away from the very people trying to help them. Now, here's the part I really want people to hear today. Needing help does not make you weak. Read that again. Needing help does not make you weak. Life can humble anybody. Anybody. There are brilliant people struggling right now. Hardworking people struggling right now. People with degrees, certifications, experience, leadership backgrounds, strong reputations, and they still can't get any traction in this market. Do you know how many times I've had people say, I've got a hot position for you. Send your resume. I send a resume faster than Usain Bolt in the Olympics. And then I don't hear a daggone thing. I'm pinging people left and right. Did you get it? Do you have any other questions? Is there anything else I can address? What type of timeline are we looking at? When should I hear some feedback? Nothing. Why even ask for it? If you ask for it, then I expect some type of response. Even if your response is, I sent it on and you didn't get the position. That's closure. But leaving it open ended when you come at me and ask me to send it to you, that's unacceptable. The economy has a lot of people questioning themselves, and that's unfair. The ghosting culture, as I just talked about, does not help either. Some people have gone through 5 interviews now just to hear nothing. I haven't been lucky enough to go through 5 interviews yet, but some have, and then they still don't hear a daggone thing. No feedback, no closure, no opportunity. And after enough rejection, even strong people start breaking mentally. And that's real. But I also want to remind people of something important. Your current situation is not your final identity. The season is not forever. And just because your spouse is carrying things right now does not erase all the years that you carried things too. All of the work that you did, all of the times when you were leading. You still have equity from that. There are seasons in life when one person is stronger, but that partnership is supposed to work both ways. So there are also seasons where the other person needs support. That doesn't make somebody a failure, it makes them human. And honestly, some of the strongest relationships are built during survival seasons, not luxury seasons, not vacation seasons, survival seasons. Little segue here. My wife and I typically watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. These are shows that come on TV about one man or one woman who goes on and has 25 different partners to choose from. And then they narrow them down to the bottom 3, and then they narrow them down to the one that they want to be with. We always laugh because the excursions that they go on, they're dates, but I call them excursions. They'll get in a helicopter and fly to the top of the Alps to have lunch. How do you go from flying in a helicopter to the top of the Alps to have lunch to sitting at home eating peanut butter and jelly? Because that's the real world. If you can have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with someone and still have a good time, that's the person you're supposed to be with. Because everybody would love to be with the person that is going to whisk them off to the top of the Alps to have lunch. So that's why the strongest relationships are built during survival seasons, not when everything is going perfectly well. These are the moments when both people have to fight mentally to keep hope alive. Now, if you're listening and you're the spouse currently supporting the household, give yourself grace too. You're carrying a heavy load, and your support probably means more than you realize, even if your partner struggles to express it because pride is getting in the way or they're just too angry to see anything right now. Don't disappear emotionally. Don't isolate yourself completely. Don't let shame convince you that you're worthless. You are more than your paycheck. You are more than your job title. You are more than this rough chapter. And one opportunity can change your entire situation. One person believing in you again, that's all it takes sometimes. So you got to keep going, keep applying, keep networking, keep fighting mentally, and more importantly, don't lose yourself while trying to survive this season, because the world already does enough to tear us all down. Don't help it by destroying yourself internally too. Appreciate your spouse, communicate honestly, stay grounded, and remember, storms don't last forever. But the people who stand beside you during those storms, you never forget them. Appreciate everybody that stands next to you. I've had to tuck my head and go to my wife multiple times to ask for money because I have none, right? Even though we're a family, right now, the way I look at it, because I'm not contributing financially, I have no money. So I have to tuck my tail and go. Do you know how hard that is for a grown man to do? It's not always received with smiles and grace. Sometimes that's going to be received with an hour-long speech on things we could have done to not be in this situation. No one wants to hear that when you're already down, but unfortunately, they have to get out their stress and frustration as well. So that's how you open the door sometimes. But then other times it's no problem. Hey, I completely understand. Let's go ahead and take care of that. What I always leave you guys with is this when it comes to these financial discussions. Listen, take care of your money, grow your money. If you don't know how to grow it, get a professional to manage your money. Because when it starts to rain, the last thing you want to happen is to be stressed out, frustrated, and not have enough money to take care of everything while you're also trying to deal with your mental health or your mentality. Because there is only so much that you can take before you will completely fall apart. So you have to find ways to protect yourself from mental breakdowns, from high blood pressure, from strokes and heart attacks, because that's real. People drop dead from having too many issues and not dealing with them properly. You'll overeat. You'll cause a lot of different problems and a lot of additional problems. So you need to learn how to manage yourself effectively while the sun is shining, because that rain is coming. It's going to come to each and every single one of us one day or another in some capacity. So take care of what you can. Help others around you. If you found out how to grow your money, teach others. Because a lot of us were not taught the proper way to manage money effectively. You can save someone's life by giving them information and sitting down with them and really showing them the path that will save them stress and anxiety in the future. As always, this is Ain't Nobody Squeaky Clean. And until next time, I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed week. And I'll talk to you very soon.